Functional. We are live right now. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for stopping in so that we can have this grown man, brown liquor conversation. I appreciate everybody in the Colorado Springs area that took out the time to come to the event that we had out at Santiago's Boxing Club. It was a great event. Did some great things. Rachel Riley, really, really phenomenal lady that and photographer. She displayed her work that she did while she was um, going through the U.S. during the time that there was a lot of protests, things of that particular nature, with after the death of oh, I just gonna slip just that doggone quick. But she went through all those the protests, basically from the East Coast to the West Coast, and she shared her work. You know, it was great. Tears flowed. There was a lot of emotion, and it was just great. It was just great all the way around. All the way around. And I definitely appreciated her, the frequency, and everyone else that participated in the actual event. I mean, we had some councilmen that came out. We had some runners that also came out. It was, like I said, it was just a great event. But we are ready to go ahead and move forward with this thing. D, what we're gonna be talking about today?
Topic of the day is it a generational curse for the African American community to put their kids out at the age of 18 without
Good one. Good one. As always, good one. But good one, no less.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm having a hard time hearing y'all.
All right, let me say this again. The topic of today is it a generational curse for us as the African American community to put our kids out at the age of 18 without a plan?
All right, y'all want me to go first?
Speak on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to say yes. I used to say no, but now I say yes. And I'm gonna tell you, like when I was not, when I was still going through my daddy issues, and I was trying to learn how to be a man, and this, that, and the other, or whatever the case may be, I would have said, yeah, you need to be out of the house by 18. But when you start thinking about it logically, everybody doesn't just, age does not necessarily mean that you develop. You might need some improvement in certain areas, and you're not ready. And then you can look around us, and you can see in every other community, it's only a problem in the brown community. It's only an issue in the brown community. It's nothing for a kid to go to college, finish college, and move back into his mama or his grandma's basement. And they have a mindset of we're trying to help you launch, and they not only try to help them launch, they try to work with them so they can get off to the best start as possible. But in the brown community, you just when you 14, 15, 16 years old, you mama's baby, But when you get to the age of, 18, you just another N word around the house. And and then what happens is you get pushed out there too prematurely, and then you do something so damaging in your early years, you might spend the next 10, 20 years trying to recover from it so you can have a baseline start. And we already at a disadvantage. So every situation is a case by case. If you're trying to get your kid out of the house by 18, then what are you doing to lead up to making sure that that child is prepared? Because I know that, and I'm not going to mention anybody in my family, but I've seen people in my family, folks coming around 16, 15, 16 years old, and they're afraid to leave them at the house by themselves, so on and so forth, but making small decisions. And I think that's where the father is missing from the house at right there, because women they just naturally have a nurturing nature, and they don't really know how to let go of a child. And it's kind of the opposite in the duality between a man and a woman, because a man, he wants to give that child as much responsibility as that child can handle from a natural sense, so that child can be as prepared to go out there in the world as possible. So that's why when you think about it, for me, I'm going to say it is a curse to kick our kids out if they're not ready to go out, because that kind of falls on the parents too. If that child's not ready, if that parent haven't given that child exercises and things of that nature, and small responsibilities to see how they can handle it under their covering. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's a curse too. Y'all hear me good? Check, check, check.
No.
Turn up.
Yeah, turn it up just a tad bit.
All right, how about now?
A little bit more.
Better.
Jesus Christ.
Save you.
All right.
All right, that's better.
Yeah. I definitely think it's a curse. But I know for me in my house, I sense the urgency. That 18 years old, you up out of here. And you don't have time to be lollygagging, you don't have time to waste. I had two that's have already left the house. They're both in the military. I think it's important that while we're raising them up, we emphasize the the things that they can look forward to running into once they get out into the real world. And as parents, we need to equip them for that. But at the same time, we also need to let them know, at some point you're gonna have to go out and face the world. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to go and do it at 18, because as it's already been stated, they might not be ready for that. Age doesn't define anything but how old you are, But if you are not ready, I think that we as parents need to be mindful of that and continue to do the work. You've been doing it for 18 years. What's a couple more years going? You know what I mean? So I don't think that it's really beneficial to our children to say, oh, you're 18 years old, time to go. You understand what I'm saying? But at the same time, there also has to be some sense of accountability in that child wanting to do what he or she needs to do to prepare themselves to face the real world. Because I got 3 sons, and one of the things that I told them, especially at the age of 18, is I'm not raising no grown man. Okay, I'm the only man that is gonna lay around up in here. So you need to have your stuff together, or be working towards that if you're gonna be in here past 18. Now, if you one of those kids that don't make a difference how hard the parents try, and you want to go against the rules and everything like that, then yeah,
You gotta go
go right on out there. Go right on out there. And one of my favorite mottos in my house is, the same dog that bit me is gonna bite your ass too. But this dog got some bigger teeth. Because see, we living in a different time. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like when we was growing up. This is a completely different time that our children are growing up in. You know, and we talked about that on another show. This is a microwave, new millennial age that we living in. And it's very scary for us parents because they're so exposed to so much at such a young age. And it gives them that false narrative that, oh, I'm ready. I can handle that. Nah, that ain't nothing to for us to be worried about. I remember my daughter told me, I stress too much. Look, girl, I ain't stressing enough. Especially for you, black woman, I'm not stressing enough. So no, it is not a good idea to push our children out at the age of 18 just because they're 18. No, it's not a good idea. Keep doing the work.
I'm gonna have to agree with the fellas on this one because it is a generational curse, and it's one that we have power over, we have control over, authority over. And like Lamar was saying, it's the responsibility of the parents to make sure that those kids are ready to go out. I mean, 18 years. I mean, 17 for some, and even younger for others, depending on their academics. Those children should be sent off with all the things they need financially and everything that they need as far as being taught structurally, as far as how to be an adult, how to manage your money, how to survive in society. And a lot of those things we're not teaching them. We're just teaching them how to survive. You don't teach them about the world and what you're gonna have to deal with when you get out there. We don't send them out with the financial needs that they have to go throughout life without the stresses that we have. I say at the very least, the parents should start as soon as they pop out, if not earlier. If they're not even set, I mean, you can go as far back as saying, okay, once you start a relationship, go ahead and build if you're planning on having a family. Because a lot of people wait until they get financially comfortable before they start doing anything as far as building a family. We started then, and not just preparing for having to raise kids, but prepared to have kids that we got to send out into society, we will be better off. These kids should be able to leave the house with no less than $100,000 in their account, preferably with a business already that's working for them, understanding how to invest their money, understanding how the economy works. These are things that we aren't even taught in school, and that's our responsibility because the world ain't gonna do it for us. So for us to send them out at 18 and say, hey, you're an adult, you got to go through what we went through, is wrong. And that's what we were pretty much brought up under. And a lot of parents wanted great for their kids, but they didn't do the things necessary to prepare them for that, for life in general. So I say it is a generational curse, but we have power to change that. And we got to stop being so scared, especially when it comes to money. We so afraid to lose anything, we don't realize we're not even building anything on the other side.
Big facts. Well, I mean, the logical answer, of course, is we can all agree it's definitely a generational curse. I know that Ron was a witness. We had a three-way conversation with my mom, and the biggest thing that was on her mind goes to something that Lamar was saying about he's fearful of his black daughter, and my mama was like she fearful of our black sons. Um, what touched her was the whole George Floyd incident of how that man screamed out. Well, he ain't screaming, but how he was calling for his mama in his last few moments of his life. And she was just like, the issue was this conversation kind of comes full circle from one of the episodes we had before about my stepfather. It caused a big emotional rift in their marriage by him wanting us to be out of the house by the age of 18. And I left first, and my twin brother, he went off to college. and him and my mama had a conversation where he said something about he finally won. And my mama was like, won what? And he was like, I finally got both of them out of the house. And she was just like, ever since that moment he uttered them words, he was just like, their marriage never been the same. And her thing about it was that she tried to explain to him and other black fathers is, y'all got to quit being up under this notion that we trying to baby these kids up, because a lot of times it's not. It's the fact of they need somebody that they can depend on, because a lot of y'all are not there. Society for damn sure ain't there. The police be beating them upside of their heads and all that type of stuff. They not there for them. Somebody got to be there for them. So who's going to show up for them? So while a lot of y'all think that we are sheltering our kids, especially the black sons, it's not. But we trying to prepare them how to move, and we trying to teach them that somebody has to be there for them, because our own people are not even there for them.
Man, I tell you, I struggled so, and I still do it to this day. My son is in Colorado right now, and my daughters are getting ready to be in Alaska.
He's been texting me today too, just to let you know.
Okay, just wanted to make sure he got in contact with his uncle. Man, I tell you guys, I struggle with this every day, because one side of me is like, okay, he left as soon as he graduated high school. He was gone straight to basic training from and AIT and let me tell you how the Most High worked this thing out real quick. If I could have a testimonial moment. So he goes to basic training in Fort Jackson. Okay. Now I'm TDY at Augusta, Georgia, at Fort Gordon. So he's in the 25 series like his dear old dad and his Uncle Taylor here.
Yay.
And so his AIT is in Fort Gordon with me. And now that AIT is over with, he now transitioned on to Fort Carson, Colorado with his uncle, King. So I thank God for that. He's covered, he's protected, you know, but there's gonna come a point in time where he's gonna be completely on his own. Ain't no family members around or nothing like that. So I just wanted to, you know, have a little moment to just give the Most High my thanks, because I know that he's in good hands. He's somewhere where if anything was to pop off, somebody can get to my baby. You know, not gonna be like that for my daughter. She's all the way in Alaska. Now, let me finish with my son real quick. So when he left, it was a very hard transition, because as a father, I'm questioning myself like, okay, we talked about this and we talked about that, you know, is he ready? You know, what if this happens, or what if that happens? Well, maybe I should have held him back for a year or two, or until I'm ready for him to leave. And see, that's what we got to be careful of. At some point, we as fathers, we have to let go. You understand what I'm saying? We have to let go. And I struggle with that, man. I'm telling you, it eats me up every day. And then my daughter, my only daughter, my princess, the good thing about what happened with her is when she graduated high school, she immediately started working. And as a matter of fact, she started working 2 jobs in preparation for the Air Force, but it took forever for her to even make it to basic training. Well, she finally made it to basic training, and now she's in whatever the Air Force calls their AIT. That's where she's at right now. But we had that extra time with her, but it didn't make a difference to me. My baby's gone. So main thing, come full circle again. You know, dang, you know, we talk about this and we go over that, and you know, she had a little boyfriend or whatnot, and you know, she went through some ups and downs with that. You know, as a parent, you kind of second guess yourself, like, you know, did you do everything that you were supposed to do to prepare them? You know, and it's a daily struggle. And you know, I understand what my parents go through, and I'm 40 years old. And still to this day, my mother has not let go. She made a comment to my wife the other day about because my wife was talking to her about how other kids was making comments about how often my son and my daughter talk to their mama. And my mom said, well, I don't know what's wrong with my boys. And I'm like, ain't nothing wrong with us. But it clicked, you know, she ain't let go of her babies.
No.
And
That,
she's not gonna let go. That's a mama. She's not gonna let go. You understand what I'm saying? She's not. She understands that I'm grown and I have a household to maintain, but that don't mean she got to let go of her role as mama. And I don't think any parent will ever let go. You understand what I'm saying? That don't exist. You still gonna be my baby. And give a damn how old you are, you still daddy's baby. So, but with that comes that, you know, you're gonna be okay. You will do everything right. And you got to be careful with that because that shit'll keep you up at night, guys. That will keep you up at night. So I think what we have to do instead of worrying, be in position.
there you go.
You understand what I'm saying? We need to be in position because you never know what the dynamics of that phone call is going to be once you say hello and it's your baby on the other side. You never know, but we need to be in position. And I think as long as we do the best that we can now that we have children outside of the home, let's focus on, okay, if my daughter called, no matter what's going on, I have to have a mindset of, you know, being in position and being able to assist my daughter or assist my son with whatever it is that they're going through. Whatever it is that they're going through, we need to be in position. And real quick, Ron, let me shout out you for a job well done that you did today, I believe, at the gym.
Yesterday.
Nah, it was yesterday.
Yesterday, dude, you never cease to amaze me, brother. You never cease to amaze me, man.
On this piece was
Like-
phenomenal.
Dude, that right there with the how you started it off. And you ain't break it like that to us. Why he ain't lead? Talk to your boy. What's going on with he ain't break it like that, break it down like that to us? Good God. You know, that was bananas, man. That was bananas. I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a father, but what am I to the community? Now let's bring it back full
Actually,
circle to
hold on.
what we're
Hold
talking
on.
about.
Hold on. Actually, he did break it down to us.
He did, but it won't that pretty. It won't pretty like the way he did it at the what you call it yesterday.
You had to read the book.
Yeah, it's in the book.
It's in the book.
Yeah, I seen it in the book, but this was live. Okay, it's live and in person is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
All right, beige.
my bad. I'll shut up.
But man, that was amazing, brother. But when you broke it down to, you know, what am I to the community? It kind of brings it full circle because that community is what it takes to. I know back in the day it was a community that raised me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Let me get caught outside and that street light came on. Well, in our case, in Melvin Place, that's how it was. That street light come on, you better be in that house or sitting on that porch.
Yep.
Mama better not crack that window and she can't see you sitting on that porch. Same way with being fathers. We need a community of fathers to be in position. Haley, you got babies. Your children little. Imagine if I wasn't in position and I got grown children and two more getting ready to leave the house. Imagine if I wasn't in position, right? And you come across a situation that you need to lean on me for, but I'm not in position. It's like the blind leading the blind. It's like the blind leading the blind. So it takes a community of fathers. It takes a community of parents to be in position when our children leave the house. because it's also this is new to me. This is new to me. I don't know what it's like to have children outside the house. But I know other men and I know other parents who do. They're in position. So I can bounce something off them. You know, well, my son is going through this right here. He's all the way in Colorado. How do you deal with it? Okay, young blood, this is how you might want to approach that thing. Okay, you know what? That makes sense. Instead of me flying off the deep end and panicking and causing added stress to something that really ain't that big of a deal in the first place. It's about being in position. Now imagine if we applied that to the whole spectrum, be in position.
With that being said, I got to commend you, and at the same time, I got to relay a message for my mama, even though you met my mama once, and she told you this herself. You were in position. When I told her my truck in the mountains, and you drove 3 hours to come all the way to come get it, and drove 3 hours to go all the way back to Fayetteville. And so when my mama met you, she said she thanked you for going to go get her youngin. That's what she called it from the country. Go get her youngin, because she couldn't get to me in another time or whatever. So that's one of the things about being in position and playing your part. You did that.
Could you imagine if we all did that, man? It sounds small. Think about it. Oh, let's be in position. It sounds small, but just take 2 seconds. Take 2 or 3 seconds to think about that. Just be in position. Be at the right place at the right time, doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's being in position. Last time I checked, or am I missing something here?
No, you spot on. You spot on.
All right.
And it's just it's a beautiful thing because that's what this, that's what A-Team, that's what we're all about here. It's like if you figured out the code to Matrix, put everybody on game for that, because it's not always money that you have to give someone. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's attention. And take the time out to do those types of things. When it's time to raise our kids and stuff like that, don't, I know it's a difficult thing to do, but you want them to have some scratches and some bruises before they get out of your house, because they need to, you need to let them experience a little bit of manageable pain. And when I say manageable, that means within the care and the confines of the parent. The parent ain't gonna let you bust your head wide on the cement, but your parent, if they're trying to teach you how to fly, they understand that you're gonna scrape your knees and you're gonna fall down some, but they're gonna stick their hand out to keep you from doing something detrimental and playing their children close. But we got to give our children as much of those experiences as we possibly can, and each child is different. So staying in tune and leaning into our children and finding out what they're good at, what they're not good at, what their limitations are, and what their strengths. We have to allow them the opportunity to do that. And what I see that happens in the melanated household sometimes, and it's not because parents don't care. It's just the natural nature of not wanting to let go because you hold your child in a high regard. But we just got to achieve balance in our lives of holding on to our children because we love them, but also loosening up that grip in a strategic manner. Because like you said, your son, when he turned 18, it wasn't, all right, boy, get out of the house. It was, he was gone right away. And I think that attributes to him wanting to be a man, because it's got to be a desire. It's got to be a desire on a child's part too. And I think for me, when my first job was when I was 13 years old, and I couldn't understand why I had a job, but my mom was pushing me to do that. And what it just taught me is
When I got that first check and I was making like $6.50 an hour and I was working 38 and a half hours a week, plus I was getting like $80 to $120 in tips. So, I thought I was rolling.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it felt good to say, hey, Mom, I'm going to take you out to dinner tonight. Or it felt good to say, Mama, come on, I'm going to take you to the, I'm going to take you to the mall. Let's go shopping, Mama. Like that's, woohoo, that felt good. Like, look at me now. I'm a boss. I want a boss. But it just gave me the confidence because she allowed me to go out there to be able to have those adult experience under her leadership. And that's what we have to do for our children is give them opportunities and see what they can do. They might surprise you.
Yeah. Man, I can talk about these babies all day, man. Talk about these babies. Sweet babies.
Hey, my apologies. I just realized that everybody has spoke their piece about the subject except for the author of the book.
Hey, just so y'all know, James Mack is in the building. He working on some A-Team designs right now.
Word. Yeah, I need to holler at that man. Get this mark done.
Right, we ain't gonna show y'all what we doing right now, man. He cooking right now in the studio. We ain't even gonna show y'all yet, but it's gonna be crazy.
My
Gonna be
apologies.
bananas.
I'm here with all my family. I mean, my mama is came in from Virginia. My sister is here from Virginia, and then I got family in from Chicago as well. So I'm trying to mitigate, which is the reason why y'all keep seeing me go off camera. Oh, no, but so I think everybody had the opportunity to say something or whatnot, and everybody brought out a whole lot of great points that I was actually going to talk about. So I'm gonna point out something that we didn't talk about. I agree with everybody on the panel. Yes, it's a curse. It's a curse. Uh, we definitely play a big part in it or whatnot, but it's also the narrative. And I'm gonna keep talking about it because this is what we doing. We changing the narrative on everything, But the narrative is 18, work, college, military. One of them three things. One of them three things. Think about it. That man is 25, 26 years old, is still at home with his parents. What happens to him? What happens to him? You try and talk to a female, that joker is clown. It's clown because he doesn't have his own, not knowing that he's probably one of the smartest people out because he's at home getting all these additional, think about it, 25, 26 years old, where everybody else is being kicked out at 18, right? He got an additional 8 years up on everybody. Not only is he able to work, or whatever it is that he's doing, whether he's going to school, pursuing his dream, or anything of that nature, parents have made it where he can get on his feet. You know what I'm saying? Get on his feet and be able to walk on his own before he leave his house. Think about it this way, right? If you think about it this way, when our kids start getting ready to walk, right? We don't just it's a process. Put them on the stomach time or whatnot, so it can the muscles not be able to lift up from off the ground. and whatnot. Then eventually get to the point where they on all fours. And then from there, they start crawling. And then from there, we coach them a little bit more, maybe let them hold our fingers while they take steps and things of that particular nature, right? Till they get to the point where they off to the races by themselves. But what we don't realize is this, right? The moment that they graduate from school, they turn into babies all over. They turn into babies all over again because they have no knowledge. So we could have taught them everything it is, gave them every tool needed and necessary to be prepared for this work. But they turn into babies all over again. And if you think I'm lying, think about how long it took you to get on your feet and get right, to get where you at right now.
Last year.
Think about it.
20
From
years.
graduated to this point, how many years is that?
20 for me.
18 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like reliving it all over again, going through the process all over again. But we don't see it that way because the narrative is you turn 18 away from school, work, college, military, something of that nature. But that is the reason why we got to change the narrative and why what we're doing right now is so important. So important. I was having a conversation with the wife, about some of the decisions that some family members and stuff was making. I was like, they still babies. They 2-3 years out of high school trying to make decisions that it took us years to get right. And we give them the narrative that once they turn 18, they grown. So they don't have to listen to us no more. And it's not true. It's not true. I just want to talk about parenting just for 1 second or whatnot. Just for 1 second. My wife say that I'm really hard on the younger kids, but I take it easy on the older ones. This is my thought process right here, right? Look at it like you have this clay in front of you, this hard molding clay that you gotta transform into something that's beautiful. When you first get that clay, you gotta really work it. I mean, work it. You gotta pound it, really, really work it until it is soft enough to where you can start molding it into what you actually want it to be. So them early years, I'm on your head.
Yeah.
I'm on your head until you get the understanding, right? It's not about fear. It's more about respect and understanding. That you know and you understand that if I do this right here, I already know what the consequences are. Now, once I done get that that mold in where I can start forming it into an actual shape, it's time to loosen up now. Because if I keep being hard on it, right? If I keep being hard on it, then it's gonna lose its form, and it's gonna be worthless. It's gonna be worthless. So now I gotta start having a little gentler touch. So I go from you better tell do what it is that I say and nothing more to what do you think about this? How do you feel about this right here? If you was in this situation right here, what would you do? Start changing the tune of the conversations. Preparing them. I shouldn't be waiting till my sons have had their first wet dream to try and explain to them about their body. They should already be prepared for it. Same with our daughters. They shouldn't have that embarrassing moment wherever it is or whatnot, whether it's at home, in school, or wherever. They should already be prepared for it. Be prepared for it and know exactly what it is that they need to do. I talk about it all the time. I never forget it. My oldest son, you know what I'm saying? I had that conversation with him when he was started having it about 8, when he was about 8. It's like a few years from now, you're gonna experience this right here.
Mm.
And he looking at me like I was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking nonsense. A few years later, I think he was about 10. Had that conversation with him again. Look, coming close, coming close, coming close. Then when it happened, I wasn't even with his mom anymore. But when it happened, called me, all excited. All excited. You know? And it made me feel proud, like, yo, he was ready. But for some reason, right, the narrative is, and I had this conversation last night. I talked about this and had this little minor debate last night about experience. For some reason, the narrative is that in order to learn something, you have to experience it. No, you don't. You don't. So, in order to maneuver around hurt, you got to first be hurt. No, you don't. Not at all. So, I see you step out in the street and you get cleaned up by a car. You think I'm gonna step out there without looking?
Oh man. I see that crackhead over there. I just learned I don't want to look like. I don't want to do that.
Crack
Seriously.
is whack.
Seriously.
I need to go through that.
No, I can't. I don't know what it is that person is going through. So let me go over here and light this up real quick so I can.
Yeah. I'm cool.
No. But you know, again, as the molding and stuff is going, things of that particular nature, everything is start forming, or whatnot. Then you got to put them in the fire.
Yeah.
But the thing is, putting them in the fire is not putting them out of your house. It's not putting them out of your house at all.
Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt. You make a valid point, and I'm gonna use this as an example. So, my little baby brother got in trouble. My baby brother, he's like 22, something like that. He got into a situation last year with my only sister, and he did something he wasn't supposed to. So my mama threatened him. She said, "Since you think you're grown, you can do and say anything that you want to anybody in this house. You gonna start paying your own car." So basically, she was like, "You gonna start doing everything on your own." He's still in the house, but you gonna learn the hard way. And at first, he was trying to like, "All right, man, this whatever. I can do it." My mama called me. I had a conversation with him, and I threatened him. That man changed his tune up the next day. He went back and apologized to all of them. He was like, "All right, I already see your way. I no longer want to do it." Now, that was a negative situation, but the positive thing is by both my little brother and sister still being in the house. My little sister, she graduated from college early. So, I believe she graduated on a 4-year degree. I believe she was like 19. My baby brother graduated. He got an associate's, 2-year degree. Both of them, I had a conversation with him a few months back when I was in Oklahoma City. And we were talking about, he went to school for IT work. I told him, I said, regardless on if you're doing what you want to do right now, you are living better than a lot of people your age, my age, and people older than me. And you only 22. You don't have to rush anything. And that's not his work. That's my mama's work at the end of the day. My mama did that. And the biggest thing, what a lot of parents don't realize sometimes, you're not gonna get it right on the first child. Once you start living that experience or whatever, you start having other kids, you're like, okay, I'm not going to put them through the same thing I put the oldest ones through. So it's not called you being soft on them. It's just, okay, let me take a different approach. And that's what she did with them. She like, I'm not forcing them out the house. Why am I going to force them out the house and for them to go bump their heads and learn stuff the hard way? And for them to be calling me every week talking about I ain't got enough money to pay the rent or whatever. You can learn everything in my house. I can still monitor you. You still an adult. You can still do what it is that you want to do, but you're still in my roof. I'm not gonna feed you to the wolves. I'm not gonna put you out there until you ready to go.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. And you said something that is so true. So with Aja, my oldest baby, my daughter, we went through it, man. Oh my God, we went through it. But like you said, you don't get it right the first shot. When Josiah come around and it's his time, smooth sailing. Smooth sailing as far as the transition out. Now watch this. Zephaniah and Elijah, my two little ones that's still here. Zephy turns 15 next month, and Elijah turns 12 in May.
Boy, time flew by.
Boy, listen. I look at how I dealt with Josiah. Okay. Now, mind you, same exact patterns and behavior, same exact struggles, same way all the way across the board. But I thought about, because I was getting ready to, knock Zephaniah head smooth off the other day. I said, you know what? Now Josiah caught it. Okay. I'm just gonna be real with you. Josiah caught it. And I think about the effect that it had on him. It got to the point where he was real timid around daddy, didn't want to talk to daddy too much because he didn't know how I was going to handle it. He finally come around, and now with the conversations that we have now, it's amazing. I'm just thankful for my oldest boy.
Everyone, we got it. Got a message.
Then with Zephaniah, I'm like, okay, all right. I can't take the same approach that I took with my oldest son because I don't want what happened with my oldest son to happen with my middle baby. So there's a different way I'm a approach those things that Zephaniah is going through. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's working. It is really working. And Elijah, I shouldn't have no problems. I shouldn't have no problem. It should flow real smooth. I should be able to put on the schedule. Okay, we're going to talk about the birds and the bees around this time of the year right here. And we're going to jot that birds and the bees right here. You know, I'm gonna have it laid all the way out. You understand what I'm saying? So you're right. You know, you're not gonna get it right on the first child, but you know, parenting, you learn every day along with your child. You learn right along with them. You know. But again, like I said in the beginning of the show, you got to be in position to do it.
There was a video that I saw in the past. It was a black mother. I think she had about 3 kids or so, and she had them like she was not letting them leave the house unprepared, and they were going to stay in the house until they were ready to be out of the house. And I think, if I remember correctly, it went as far as they submitted money somewhat like paying bills. But what she did with the money that they had from their jobs, she put it in an account or saved it and set it to the side for them for when they did leave. So they had the opportunity to learn and see how their money works because they participated in paying bills and taking care of responsibilities as far as chores in the house. And a lot, I think about how everything was like, look at our grandparents or great grandparents. You have where the average household had maybe 14, anywhere from 10 to 14 kids, 8 to 14 kids or so. the age range between that, let's say the older daughters, they learned how to keep house and they took care of the younger siblings because they, like you say, you got a 12 or so year gap. At that point, the youngest one seems like a baby to you, like your own child. So you're helping mama with taking care of those younger siblings. And the same happened with the boys. They help dad with the work around the house, in the yard, on the farm, or whatsoever. So they learn how to make ends meet and do work with their hands. So by the time those kids left the house, they were prepared to take care of house. Now our society, although is a little more tech savvy and has a lot more things that are a little bit different, and once we go out into the world, those same basic fundamentals still apply, because no matter how much we change with all these technology or technical achievements that we have so far in society, the basics never change. You still have to create a life, take care of a life, and sustain house. How you do it doesn't matter. Whether you one that's a hunter-gatherer and you actually hunt for your food, like a lot of people do in Alaska, as I saw, or you work a job and you buy your food from a store. It doesn't matter what background or what you do, you still have to take care of those foundational elements to a household. But I would say that in the past, like our grandparents and great-grandparents time frame, there was a difference in how you were trained up as a child, because you participated in the upbringing of your younger siblings and you participated in keeping the house. And the boys participated in work around the house. And to a degree, I say that it's still necessary to this day. Even if you don't have, like where we stay at, me and Lamar, and Lee. I don't know where D is at this time, but
outside of Lamar.
But where we stay at, we might not have as like we're not on like 5 or so acres out in the country. Like we in a place where we have like HOAs or complexes where it's built up. You don't really have to do as much maintenance, but something as simple as cutting the grass, taking out the trash, anything like that. I mean, it's still rearing them. And okay, as a man, this is what you got to do. If you got to replace an outlet in the house, fix a gutter, patch up a wall, screw tight some bolts, change some lights or something, you learn, hey, these are your responsibilities as a man in the house. We don't even have to establish them as particular gender roles, but that's how we see them. A woman sees a man, hey, he can change the tire, change oil, cut grass, fix an outlet, change a pipe in the plumbing, patch up a wall, hang a picture. All of those things, he can take care of house. So I can focus on cooking a meal, doing laundry. Now, that's not static roles or hard roles that has to be done, because at any given day, any side can do any of those jobs. Because honestly, you should train your daughters to be able to do the same things that a man can do, so she's not totally dependent on a man. Because I mean, all men aren't good men. I mean, we're working towards changing that, but reality. There's a pastor that I know of. He trained his daughter. Hey, you're gonna push a lawnmower too. You're gonna know how to take care of everything that you need to. Because yes, there's this level of interdependence and it's important. But at the same time, when you're alone, you need to be able to take care of yourself as well and not have to rely on some stranger to help you out.
Right.
You know, I want to say something here. I want to share two things, okay? And I hope anybody that's watching this video just take a look at this, okay? This isn't about opinions. These are about facts, all right? Usually the problem that exists in our culture, the answer is right underneath our nose. A lot of times we can't see what the answer is because it's so close to us that we're not even taking a step back to see that it was right under our nose. So I want to just take a look at a couple of things here. There's two things I want to take a look at that anybody can benefit from, okay? I'm looking at this website called www.nas.usda.gov. And it says the United States Farm Real Estate Value, a measurement of the value of all land and buildings on farms. Now, some places it's more expensive than others, okay? Land in Texas would cost different than maybe land in New York, okay? So it says the United States Farm Real Estate Value, a measurement of the value of all land and buildings on farms, averaged $3,160 per acre for 2020, and there was no change from 2019. So meanwhile, you got people like Bill Gates running through and buying up massive amounts of land. So all you have to do is, if you want to find out what it is that you're supposed to do, stop paying attention to people that's not doing what they're supposed to do, and pay attention to the ones that are at the top doing what they're supposed to do. Whether you agree with their ideologies or not, you can learn something from Trump. You can learn something from those guys like that, even if you don't like the way they conduct themselves. But pay attention. $3,160. Okay. I understand some of you don't have $3,160 in your bank account, but that's a small monetary milestone that you can hit and you can get to. And you can get you a piece of land and you can teach your children, whether you're learning by trial and error, you can teach your children how to farm for their food. Okay. That could be something right there. You could do a whole lot with an acre. I'm not going to go into more details about that, but listen. We live in an information age. Everything's right in front of us. All we have, if we don't know something, it's because we don't want to know. The second thing that I want to talk about is, and if you don't believe me, look up this. It's called infinite banking system.
Oh my.
If you look at the infinite banking system, have y'all ever heard of the infinite banking system?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes. So for those that don't know it, I'm going to give you a quick drop. I'm not going to even tell you too much about it because I want you to look for it. Because if you don't get it, if you don't come from this call, you don't come from this Zoom, and you don't look for it, shame on you. Just shame on you. You wonder why you don't have any goals in place or whatever the case may be. It's because you don't have these small milestones that can make a huge difference. But an infinite banking system, they can show you, and they can show you how to, you can take something like life insurance, you know, something in the brown community that everybody is so scared of, right? We don't want to talk about that. We're like hundreds of years behind in having those conversations, and that can be used as a cornerstone of wealth. It's not about a death benefit. There's living benefits that you can use that for. The second thing is you can use life insurance. You can use life insurance so you don't have to pay, you don't have to pay taxes on that money if you can grow a retirement tax-free. And back in the 40s, man, taxes went up as high as like 90-some%. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go back to that point again, but if it comes to a point, how would you feel if Uncle Sam had his hand in your pocket and he was taking 90 cents for every dollar that you make? You would feel like, damn, I'll be damned if I do, I'll be damned if I don't. But these are some of the things that we can talk about, and these are some of the things that we can actually put into action to change the narrative. Because right now, we own 1/2 of 1% of the wealth of the United States, and that's exactly how much we own coming out of slavery into the Reconstruction period. So nothing has gotten better for us because we're complaining about so many different things going on, but these things are things that we can control. Everybody can take $50 out of their paycheck and just say, you know what, damn it, I'm just taking this $50 and I'm going to move it for my family so I can put them in situations. Somebody said early on the call about getting them started, I think it was Chris, getting them started with $100,000. If you don't have a game plan, it's going to seem like a daunting task. But with the infinite banking system, you can put money into it. Like I'm talking about like $250 a month for like 4 years, and $200 a month for the next 4 years, and $100 a month for the next $150 a month for the next 3 years. And then you could just simply stop. And then they'd have enough money to be able to go to college, put a down payment on the house, buy their first car, start money for their business and stuff like that. And these are little pennies that you can scrape together from the coins that you collect throughout your month in your sofa, that you can pull money together for those types of things and empower yourself. And then you can borrow money on your money without having to go through a credit system and those types of things. So these are two types of things that we should be looking at right now. Land. You talking about buying a house or doing something like that, man, the wise people say, let me buy me some land first. then you lift up so many different restrictions. So these are some of the conversations that we need to start having with our children. Games like Monopoly, helping them understand how to play. Look, man, I remember when I used to play Monopoly, man, I used to always try to go for Boardwalk and Park Place, but it was a guy that told me, he said, leave Boardwalk and Park Place alone, man. Get you them small ones, get you them utility companies and them railroads, and get everything on the other side of the board. And those types of things will help you, because because it'll get to a point in the game of life where everybody got to come on your territory and you collect it. And it teaches you that. And we don't do that. When we were growing up, we used to play Monopoly. We used to play Monopoly, we used to play all of that stuff. And we don't do that stuff right now. I think they got a game right now called the cash flow game, or we need to start doing those types of things with our children and stuff like that. So sorry about going on a tangent, but I felt like somebody somewhere needed to hear that.
Talk that talk.
Exactly.
You mentioned my game.
It showed did.
Literally, I play that game with my kids.
That's why you're a good dad. That's why you're a good dad.
But I feel you though. I feel you, and I agree with everything that's been said. Like I said, the biggest thing is changing the narrative. We have to change the narrative on this thing, man, for the sake of our kids, really. I mean, look at it this way, right? Look at it this way, and everybody's situation is not the same. I want you to think about this. How old was your parents when they had you? And if you're not the oldest, how old was your parents when they had the oldest? The same way we sitting back trying to figure it out and get right, they was going through the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And I had to realize that when I got older. My mom, she is exactly, well, not exactly, she's about 31 years older than me. 31. Older than me. Right? My older sister is 7 years older than me. So she was what, 24 when she had her first child? Think about what you was doing at 24 years old.
Wilding out.
Enjoying Germany.
24 years old.
Hey.
3 years later, she had her next baby, 27, 2 kids. Then here I come, third baby, 31. Then now it's even crazier because you got people having kids as young as 13, 14.
11-year-old girl in my neighborhood, boy.
Yeah. And I knew them. Even in our generation, I knew girls that was having kids that doggone young. You ain't even fully got to the age of 18, the whole so-called age of being an adult. For all my biblical people, shoot, the Mashiach wasn't able to walk into his purpose until he hit 30. Back in the day before things got convoluted and became microwave, women didn't leave the house until they was married.
Well, I tell my daughters the same damn thing right now.
And the sons couldn't even think about marrying someone else until, one, they received their inheritance or they had something of their own. How hard is it to let our children remain with us so that they can get on their feet and be able to walk on?
Because cats are selfish.
Think about it. That was the next question I was going to ask. Why is that?
Selfish.
Is it because we had children at a young age and we feel like we lost out, we missed out on something?
Yep.
We missed out on something. So now I got all these kids out of my house. I ain't got to deal with them no more. My job is done. Done my part. They 18, they out of my house. I can go see the world.
Back out there and go party.
But your job as a parent doesn't
Never do.
end literally to the day you die. To the day you die. You still have to make sure that you are available because the teaching doesn't stop. It does not stop. Imagine how things would have been if our grandparents were still teaching our parents and preparing them for life long before we came along.
Let me jump in here right quick. So on my biological father's side, I only knew my grandmother, and didn't know her very long before she passed. And then on my mom's side, I never met my grandfather or my grandmother.
Mm.
Now we had people in our life that we called grandma and grandpa. You know what I mean? And they've since passed on. But Rome, what you said a few minutes ago about imagine if the grandparents were still teaching, you know, my parents, man, that would be amazing. And sometimes I get a little envious of my children and of my wife because she knows great grandparents. You know what I mean? She grew up, you know, her grandmother's still here. Her grandfathers have passed in, you know, recent years, but she had that growing up, you know, and it made a difference. And then my children, they have my parents, they have her parents, they have my wife's grandmother, so their great grandmother is still alive, and you can see that difference in the children. You can see that tribe, you know, and you can best believe we call her Nana, which is my wife's grandmother, still instills in my wife's mother, which trickles down to my wife. So that definitely makes a difference. You know what I'm saying? It is very important and it makes a difference. And again, I'm thankful that my children are able to experience that when I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And I want to touch on something real quick. We're talking about parenting. For a very long time, you know, especially when the kids were really young, I got so caught up on, well, I'm gonna make sure that everything that I didn't have growing up, they get. Have you ever said that? You know what I'm saying? Everything that I didn't have growing up, they get. Not realizing that, and it's not with everything now. It's not with everything, but not realizing that by me doing that, I kept them away from the stuff that really made an impact. For example, when we were growing up, we worked, and I mean worked. We was out there in that tobacco field, was out there picking tobacco worms. When when it came down to cleaning the house from top to bottom, left to right, scrubbing behind toilets. I mean, we were stripping cabinets with lacquer thinner, 7, 8 years old, burning our hands through them little gloves. We worked. And I remember how devastating it was at the time when we were doing, I ain't never gonna let my kids do no work like that. But then what ended up starting to happen was they began to get the, oh, I'm privileged. They were spoiled. But when it came time for me to, when it came time, like, no, y'all gonna get out here and y'all gonna get this work. They started looking at me like I was speaking a different language. You understand what I'm saying? They couldn't comprehend why I was putting them through the ringer like that. Oh, but now they have an appreciation for taking care of the house. They have an appreciation for getting out there and busting your behind and making a couple dollars. You understand what I'm saying? And it goes back to what Lee was talking about and preparing them. You know, so just thought I'd share that little story right there, and some of the things that I was doing early in my parenting days when it came down to, you know, the kids and not having what or me giving them what I didn't have growing up.
I think that
There has to be a balance.
I think that we all experience that as parents, and literally where we trip up at is the reality of what it is we're trying to do and what we want to accomplish is that we want our kids to be better than us. We want our kids to be better than us. You know, I was the exact same way. You know, everybody used to eat all them name brand cereals and stuff, and I was hitting them knockoffs. So I was on that. My kids ain't gonna never eat them knockoffs. and,
Yeah.
until right, that money started looking a little funny.
Yes, sir.
I started understanding why.
Yeah, you had to buy the cereal with Tony the Tiger with a vest on. Tony the Tiger ain't never had no vest on. Okay. Yeah.
Not knowing how good like King vitamins. Oh my God.
Oh
Yeah.
man, those straight out the box. I wish they still had that.
Tanya the Tigress.
Yeah. Tyrone the Tiger. You know.
Y'all just don't know.
Boy, listen. These kids, yeah.
Thuggy-O's. No, just playing. Go ahead.
The heart is in the right place, right? Our hearts are in the right place. But the overall goal and mission is to ensure that our kids are better than us. And I think that what we miss is that what we went through was significant to who we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You know,
I agree 100% with that.
I had a friend tell me last week, all right, my boy Kelly, he told me, he was like, look, everything that you are is already in your kids. And that's something that we have to realize.
Yep.
Everything that we are is already in our kids. The only thing we have to do is bring it out of. But we have to remember what it took to bring what's in us out. Literally. We have to remember what it was, what it took. Now, I'm not saying that they have to go through the exact same situations that we went to, but we need to emulate that process so that we ensure that it actually comes out. What took us, doggone, 20, 30 years to do, the goal is to cut that in half.
Yeah.
So that they can grow further than what they are right now. Y'all hold on one second.
If I could say something right here, man, you know, just based on what King was saying, it's like it's the tender love that esteems us, but it's like the tough love that shapes us. you ever just sit back and think about what you were just saying about all of that stuff that you were doing, which you were in the tobacco fields and cleaning and scrubbing toilets and getting, you know, blisters and burns on your hands and things of that nature. Now look what you turned into. You think it was because of the soft love? So, and I'm not saying that let's just get rid of soft love, let's just have tough love. It's a delicate balance, and that's but in anything in life, it's about balance. It's like this book talks about duality. Duality is another word for balance. And that's what we're trying to achieve in life. We're trying to achieve balance. And when you don't have to experience something and you can learn it, that's taking wisdom. You know, somebody else's failures, somebody else's trials and tribulations. Oh, okay, you were the dumbass that went through that? Oh, great. I'm not going to go through that. Thanks for the tip, buddy. That's what that is. But if you want to be a hard head, you know, hard head make a soft ass. So, you know, we should be, yeah. So we should be trying to learn as much as we can from wisdom instead of learning from experience, because experience leaves you with the scars. You know, some of us, I know we all grew up playing rough and everything like that, man. I got scars on my body from, like, I got this scar right here I got this scar right here on my forearm, underneath my forearm. I was at Fort King and playing against Towson. We were playing against Towson, and they had this artificial field, man. And to avoid this hit, I tried to slide. And when I slid, it was like tire streak of my skin on the turf. And this was back in 2000. So this was about 21 years ago. This was about 21 years ago. And I still got those scars. And no, it doesn't hurt anymore. But how many of us want to just continue to rack up scars in our lives because we can't accept wisdom?
Like I said, I talked about that last night. Experience is not the best teacher. We need to change the narrative.
Hell no, boy.
It is not the best teacher at all. If you can avoid having to go through something and learn the lesson of it, that is wisdom. That is wisdom. But with that being said, I have to use wisdom right now, right?
And go.
Like I said in the beginning, I have my family here. If you haven't noticed or whatnot, I've had to break off a couple of times. So we're going to go ahead and go into our final thoughts, and we're going to pick things up on Friday. All right, who want to go first?
Go ahead, D, since you short and sweet.
No.
They know it's about me, and I ain't short either. Now, is this I don't want to ramble. I will say this though. I was kind of dreading doing this episode only due to this last minute work situation. But I'm like, I can definitely say I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I just want to give a shout out to my mama, man. I'm like, that woman did a wonderful job. I'm like, I almost want to call her right now, but I know she got to work that night shift though, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But just as a whole, man, I'm like, I love what we doing. So I'm gonna say that to say this for, I believe Rome might be the only one that know. I will be an uncle come September. And all of these conversations that we are having, they are instilling in me to pass down to my nephew. And yes, it's a boy. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Speak it into existence.
Twin having a baby?
He is.
Oh shit. Okay.
Congrats.
Yeah, I share that enjoyment, brother. I share that enjoyment, most definitely. I love talking about the babies. I love talking about my childhood. I wouldn't change it. Like you said, Lee, it molded me into the man that I am today. It prepared me for the father that I am today. And looking back on these last 20 years of parenting, most definitely there are some things that I would definitely do better if I could change my parenting. I needed to correct that. If I could change the way I did certain things as a parent, I would definitely do that for the benefit of my babies. But for the most part, I think I did a pretty good job. Still doing a pretty good job. And I too need to send a shout out to my mother and my father who, man, went far and beyond the call of duty for us in some of the harshest conditions, some of the roughest parts of Fayetteville, man. They made sure that we were taken care of. They made sure that we were taken care of. And, I thank God for them. I really do. I thank God for them. And they're they're still kicking. They're still hanging in there, you know. My dad told my dad about the podcast, and well, he itching to get on there. He said, "Man, my foot started itching when you said." And I said, "Daddy, you ain't got no legs. How your foot itching?" He said, "Don't worry about it, son. It's itching right now.
Hey,
God let me know."
matter of fact, the crazy thing is, I actually thought about your dad earlier, and I was thinking about this podcast, man.
Yeah, man, he's something else.
Sure, man, I ain't get to see him while I was out there.
Oh man, yeah. But he sends his love, man, and he gives his stamp of approval on what it is that we're doing and the movement that is taking place, and the conglomerate that is being established literally in the eyes of the people, and they just don't know it yet. They just don't know it yet. Um, I want to send a shout out to you guys because iron sharpens iron. Okay. And you guys are really motivating me to stay on track. Y'all are motivating me to be in position. And I thank and I praise the Most High for each and every one of you guys and for the millions of men that will join in this movement. I'm speaking it into existence.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely going to do what you said, King, and change the narrative. It has to. It has to. And the topic of discussion was, is it a curse? Well, the curse stops with me.
Yes.
I second that.
The curse stops with me. Okay. So I feel like I feel like saying something, but I'm gonna wait. Bro, got to get off. But that was my final thoughts.
I think I'm gonna let Lee end it tonight. I'm gonna caveat off of something that King was saying, and I agree with the fact of the aspect or the notion behind what was said when he was saying experience isn't the best teacher. But I want to go into detail on that because I know that came from our understanding of experiences, because I would say that it is a great teacher. I ain't gonna say it's the best teacher, but the experiences shouldn't be flawed. When we're saying that experience is the best teacher, we need to also make it known that those experiences don't have to be a bunch of mistakes, because a lot of people that tell people that experience is the best teacher, they have the mindset that you got to make all these mistakes and learn from them, when actually experience should be the teacher in the fact of we're learning from the experience of those from our past. The scars have already been attained. We don't have to touch a hot stove to learn a lesson when we know somebody else already made that mistake. So our experiences need to be great experiences because we have people that do what we've been saying the whole day and actually training people based off of what they've learned from the past. At this point in our lives, we should be a point where at this point, period, we've gone so far and experienced so much in history that our experiences shouldn't be bad. We have enough teachings in the past to where every experience that we have should be great, or the mistakes that we make shouldn't be life-threatening or health hazard or just deadly, dangerous. These experiences that are teaching us should be because we have people that come before us that are teaching us, hey, I've done this and this is what happened. Now you could do this, but it'd be best to do it this way so that you don't run into these same issues. And at the same time, by you doing it this way, any of the cautions or the hazards that may be present don't destroy you or break you down. But I'm gonna leave with saying we've learned enough in our experiences from our history, our ancestors, those that have come before us, to know how we should handle and maintain and deal with every circumstance that we will be facing in our lives. Let's stop this thing of sending our kids out into a world that they're not prepared for. Let's first prepare them. And at the same time, let's give them something when they go there, just like our people in the past. Even when you get to the marriages where the bride's parents paid for whatever as far as the marriage was concerned, that son had something for the family. He didn't go out. No, we didn't start families broke. Let's get back to that. Let's make sure that our kids know what the world is and how to survive it. Let's make sure that we take them out there prepared with the backing financially, mentally, spiritually, so forth and so on, so that when they get out there, they're not breaking down. They're not having panic attacks. They're not overly anxious and depressed because life ain't working right because they know nothing about it. Let's set our kids up and create a better way for them so we're not faced with this generational curse of sending our kids out into a world unprepared. And I'll just end it with that.
All right. Well, my final thoughts are experience and wisdom. Experience is a sword. It's sharp. It can cut for you or it can cut against you. So experiences can be great, but also experience can be detrimental. But here is the thing about experience. Experience don't give a damn about you, and experience don't give a damn about your existence. So when getting taught by experience, make sure you're on the right side of the sword. But wisdom, you can substitute that word for compassion, because wisdom cares about you. Wisdom is concerned for you. Wisdom is accurate in its delivery to you. You just got to make yourself prepared to receive wisdom, because wisdom wants and roots for you, but wisdom ain't going to do it for you. Wisdom is going to say, here is the blueprint. Will you take heed, or will you decide to lean on my brother experience? Because my brother experience ain't got a damn compassionate bone in their body. And when you lying there bleeding, dying, calling for your mother, experience ain't going to have any care for you at all. It's going to move on and say, who's next? So that's how you should approach that. And in regards to our children, it's a lifetime commitment, fellas, ladies. It's a lifetime commitment. Your parenting days go on until you 6 feet under. And you know what? Your children are going to be calling on you and speaking to you when you're gone too. So they're going to need you. They're going to need your energy. They're going to need your spirit. So when you're stepping out there and you having children or whatever the case may be, understand it's not an 18-year experience. It's a lifetime experience. And somebody said this, I think King said this about when you turn 18 and you get out there on your own, it's like you're a child again. I want to say that that everybody, if given the opportunity to live as long, has 3 lives in one life. That's the first 18 years. That's the adult life, and then you're also a baby again when you get to the point where somebody needs to take care of you. So please be kind to everybody that you come into contact with, because you just don't know who you're gonna need. You don't know when it's gonna happen. So please treat people with care, concern, and consideration as you climb in the ladder to get to the peak of your life, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to come down the mountain from the mountaintop, and how you treated people when you were going up the mountain is how you may get treated coming down the mountain.
Words to heed and words of wisdom. Words of wisdom.
Indeed.
I've been saying it for a lot of this show, which is changing the narrative. That's really all we need to do. You know, everything it is that we're talking about right now, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of us out there that feel the exact same way. Say again.
My bad, brother. My bad.
But I know it's a lot of us that feel the exact same way. Exact same way. All we have to do is change the narrative on this thing. And you change the narrative by just simply doing. By simply doing. Stop worrying about what it is that everybody else out here thinks, and focus solely on what it is that you need to do. Stop looking for approval. That's part of the problem of our culture. We've been looking for approval for too long. Too long. You don't need it. You do what is best for your household. Best for your household. All we're saying is 18 years is not enough time. It wasn't enough time for us. What makes you think it was enough time? It's going to be enough time for our children. So let's change the narrative. Let's change the narrative. Again, I thank everybody or now for taking out the time to sit back and watch what it is that we actually doing. We've been going strong now for what, 2 months, 3 months now? And it's been great. There's been a lot of big things that have taken place since then. And I need to make a quick correction because I don't want nobody to watch this and think that I'm not culturally sound. George Floyd. That's the name that I was searching for. That's the name that I was searching for. I just didn't want to make a mistake on it because, quite frankly, there's been so many of us has been knocked off and we've been protesting about. It makes it difficult to keep up with the names. It just does. And that in itself is not a good thing. So that's who it was that I was talking about earlier when I got stuck. But again, I thank everybody for taking out the time. We got a lot of big things that's coming along. Can I Be the Man? A letter from us to you. Pre-orders should be coming out no later than Wednesday. Check out for the notification. If you haven't already, like the page on Facebook, King Naib, KING NAIB, Instagram, king.nab, KING.NAIB. Got a lot of stuff going. Ateamtv, we rolling with it. You got Buckeye Financial out here. Check out page. And we got Telemade Productions as well that is out there. And then everybody already know that if you're looking for that throwback jersey, baby, Mr. D got it for you, boy. Hit him up.
Keeping them fresh.
If you need it, he
got him for the Lodo.
Word.
You got him for the Lodo.
I know you ain't gonna want to print mine, but I need my boys. The Dynasty era. It's been a while.
What?
Yeah,
Say
that's a whole nother podcast right there. Don't start nothing on here, boy.
yeah.
I know.
Hey, just to let y'all know, man, starting April the 6th. April the 6th. Can I be
Yeah.
the man? Can I be the man? The podcast is coming. It's
Yo,
coming,
official
baby.
podcast.
It is coming. You get to hear from your boys. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Start your day off. Well, we're gonna set it right. Some grown folk conversation, how you thinking about it all day. For real. Every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday and Thursday. The details coming soon. Details coming soon. But again, we appreciate it. We love it. We love what it is we do. You know, it has been great. It's been great. But we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. Again, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. All our heart. Take it easy.